this island shaped me into the strong woman standing before you today. My family and I faced prejudice, discriminatory, and racist behaviors my entire time here. It will be debated, but what's true can't be denied. I don't expect apologies or people to feel bad about my past experiences, but it's important to acknowledge them for what they truly were. There was a point in my life where I felt like my peers, the police, and the faculty in the school had let me down. The truth is, it was a mixture of a lot of those things and more. I don't want this to be about me, but to be about education. When I first moved to Shelter Island, we were too young. Race wasn't an issue that we faced in the loft of Miss Clark's classroom. So I craved that experience when I moved back here in the 5th grade. There were great times, but there were also some bad ones. I was constantly reminded of my blackness every day. My time here felt like I represented the entire black race, and it still does as I stand before you. It wasn't the comments about fried chicken, watermelon, or Kool-Aid. It wasn't them rapping the N-word or calling me one straight to my face. It wasn't even the times that I was choked and spit on. It was more general statements about black people being poor and how most of them are on welfare. It was about black people being in charge of crimes and raping people. It was the general statements that black people were truly bad people when I was one standing right before them. My life was something that they could only hear about and wouldn't dream of living. I didn't write past that, but I just wanted to say that it comes back to education and what you're teaching your children in your home. Just because you aren't around black people doesn't mean that their issues aren't your issues. It doesn't mean that you can't tell them that they are being discriminated against or treated racistly. There were so many times when I spoke up and I was just shut down, that I was the aggressor or I was the one that was causing issues, but it was a mixture of both. I'm not saying that my time here I was completely innocent, but I'm also saying that a lot of the issues that I did face stemmed to one true issue, that I was the only black person in my class, that my family were some of the only black people. And I don't want you to feel bad about that because there's nothing you can do. But what you can do is speak to your children. Make sure that they know what they're saying is not right all the time. That saying the N-word in a song is not okay. I don't say it to this day. It's not okay to make jokes about fried chicken and watermelon because those are stereotypes. Microaggressions like Chelsea and like Ariana spoke out about before, those are the true culprits behind racism. Allowing people to go through life unchecked. Allowing people to say things that they don't necessarily mean to hurt people. I love this place. I love Shelter Island. I am one of the lucky ones. I am very blessed to have grown up here in a community that has welcomed me as I've grown older. But embracing black people means embracing the people who are willing to speak up. Embracing the voices that aren't afraid to stand up for what's right, even if they are alone. It isn't just having people sit back and be quiet and stand with you in a protest. It comes back to what you're doing in your everyday life. And I know you guys are all here, and that's a great step forward. But it does come with checking your family. It does come with checking your racist uncles and your grandfathers. It does come even alienating some of the people that are in our lives, because at the end of the day, if I'm not comfortable, neither should you be. Neither should everybody be. I know there have been a lot of sides on All Lives Matter and defunding the police and demilitarizing the police and all the things that are going on that you're seeing. Make sure you are educating yourself about what these slogans stand for. When we say defund the police, we don't mean take all the money from the police. They are doing their job. They demand their money. They need their money. Sorry. We aren't talking about taking the money from these communities. We're talking about putting the money in these NYPD, LAPD officers, the big ones around the country that are targeting people of color, using that money to put back into communities of color, communities that are facing pandemics like the opioid pandemic. A lot of you aren't aware of what's going on and facing the LGBTQ community, especially black trans women. It's not just people like me. It's not just black men like Mr. Sorry. Mr. Jenkins over here. It's not just people like that seem normal. You can't just pick and choose who you want to fight for and who you want to stand for, because at the end of the day, we all look the same, and we all are the same. I hope when everybody leaves here today that you are actually doing your part. Seriously doing your part and not just saying it. I'm tired of saying it. Today it was hard coming here. I was really emotional. I was crying, and I cry every day. I do. I think about this school. There were days where I was sick to come to school. I would just stay home. I hated it. I think it's very important for us to know where we stand and know where we are needed. You are needed to speak up for your black friends. You are needed to speak up for your gay black friends, for your lesbian black friends. If somebody is not saying something and it made you think that was wrong, then chances are it's wrong. And if a black person is afraid to use their voice because they are afraid of being judged for being aggressive, or they're afraid for being judged because they aren't right, or they aren't being discriminated against, or that wasn't actually racist. There is no range of racism. It's black and white. Microaggressions are racist. Not speaking out against racism is racist. Not addressing the behavior is racist. If you are not addressing it, you are part of the problem, period. I hope here when we leave today that we seriously take all those things into consideration. Shelter Island is a small community. There aren't many people of color, but you can take that energy, you can take that lack and fill it in with educating. We should not be educating people about just slavery and Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, because black history is so much more than that. And you shouldn't be educating people about racism either. I know it can be an uncomfortable thing to talk about, especially as a white person. But if we aren't talking about it, if we're dancing around the subject, if we're just talking about slavery and not what came before that or after that, if we leave the civil rights movement and don't talk about everything Jim Crow and all the injustices in the criminal justice system, if we aren't willing to tackle the whole monster of racism, then we aren't ready for this fight. We should be ready right now. It is 2020. There's an election coming up. You should be registered to vote. You should be educating yourself every day, reading books. Not just going on Twitter. Seriously, these phones are trash. Stop doing that. Really educate yourself. And I do want to address the police issue one last thing before I leave. We understand all lives matter. There is no such thing as blue lives, period. There are only humans. I think it's very important that people acknowledge that black people are not against the police. The people are not against the police. The police should not be against the people. This is all of our issue. I think it's extremely important for police officers to hold their counterparts accountable. I chatted with one of my police friends from Boston. He is in the city. He's dealing with this stuff head on. And he reached out to me and said, what can I do? What can you police officers do that you are here right now? Listen to me. Hold one another accountable. Okay? Period. When it comes to holding police accountable, that means acknowledging stuff, handling it in a timely fashion, and not waiting for people to protest and for people to loot and riot for everything to be noticed. Okay? Ahmaud Arbery died months ago. Months ago. We're just hearing about it. And you know why? Because his murderers weren't dealt with accountably. It comes down to dealing with things in a timely fashion. We understand not all police officers are bad. We understand that there may be underlying fears, but it comes to addressing that when you're in the police academy. You should not be able to become a police officer without at least 8 years of education, the same as lawyers. We're doctors. You are dealing with life in the same manner. And it's extremely important that you address those behaviors, because there are discriminations and racist behaviors so deeply embedded in our being that we don't even know they exist. So it comes to tackling them in training, addressing them in training, and putting them in a world, having them go into these black communities, learn about drugs, learn about rapes, learn about all the things that are actually happening in the world. And I know it's hard to speak about it and hear about it so bluntly, but if we dance around it, we're just going to be here in a few more months, in years, in 20 years, in 400 years. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm done. Thank you for coming and using your voice. Thank you for standing with us. But it comes to you guys leaving here, looking at the people around you. Who's missing from today? Who is not here with you? Those are the people you need to talk to. Those are the people you need to address, because if you ignore it, if you're uncomfortable to speak out about it, if you're uncomfortable about losing people in your life, just think about the black people and the black families and the black communities that are being murdered every day and will never get to see their loved ones. If somebody is in your life, it is your job to educate them, to make them citizens of the world, not just your communities, citizens of all the issues going on, the environment, race, everything. I'm just saying from here on out, make sure you are educating yourself, your children, you kids. It's so very important that you guys are moving forward with today an image in your mind. You black young women, know that you're worthy. You're worthy of everything. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of a future. And you're worthy of being loved.
And Emma Martinez will sing Stand Up by
Connection successful.
Okay. by Cynthia Erivo. So,